20-minute talks, unedited and unscripted conversations with interesting people. Okay, cool. How should I intro it? Okay. Welcome.
Welcome.
I chopped you off.
The credit belongs to the man who's in the arena.
This is like tilted weird. It needs to be like this. Let's get over it. Okay. Welcome to 20-minute talks, unedited and unscripted conversations with interesting people.
I'm one of those.
I'm also one of those. So, episode 1. Today we have Chandler the Mover. If you haven't heard of him, you have. It's fine. Also known as Chandler Stevens, and my favorite person.
Oh.
Aww. We're going to ask him some funny questions and have some fun for 20 minutes. Yay.
Yay.
So, who are you? Tell us about yourself.
I'm Chandler Stevens. I'm a movement guy, a personal development guy. Lately I've started trying to blend the two more and more in my professional work. I got my start in barefoot running and yoga and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and all of that just kind of led to an interesting psychophysical turning point in my life, where it was like the first time where I ever felt very like confident as a person, when I felt like I could kind of stand my own ground. And so that's the kind of stuff I'm into, is figuring out like
Sweet.
how we move and what that does for us. And yeah.
So I think that goes into a better question. What do you not like to talk about?
Gossip and like insipid bullshit really aren't my favorite kind of things. Like trivial things. I think back to whatever quote it is, where it's like, whatever minds talk about people, other might talk about events, and then they talk about ideas, and I very much like talking about ideas more so than like people or events, I would say.
Okay.
Can't talk about politics a whole lot. I don't
Nah.
give much of a shit. What else? Cars and sports. I don't know.
Sports
a whole lot
teams?
about.
You don't like talking about sports teams.
The old ball game.
The sports game.
Yeah.
Cool. So Chandler loves sleep.
I love sleep.
It's his thing. So if sleep weren't a thing, if sleep did not exist, what would you do with all of that time?
Curl up in a ball and die, I guess.
No!
Like if there weren't a biological imperative for sleep.
Yeah, like if sleep was not a thing. Like as of tomorrow. Like sleep has always been a thing, but like tomorrow, no more. We don't.
Yeah, that's a solid like 9 extra hours a day.
Yeah. It's a lot of emails.
A lot of emails. I would try to not fill it with emails. I would go outside more. I would read more. I don't know, Louisville's a late night town, I guess. So
We're a
maybe
late night
I'd go
town.
do some things. Hit the bars.
Hit the bars!
Yeah, it would.
Karaoke? Sing your favorite song. No?
I don't think, even if sleep weren't on the table, I don't know if karaoke would be how I'd fill that time.
I don't know. That's a lot of time to fill.
It's a lot of time to fill.
So what job would you be terrible at then?
What job would I be terrible at? I feel like, and I know some nice ones, but an accountant, I don't feel like would be my area of expertise, anything I'm interested in. I'm good with numbers. I can do math.
Okay.
But looking at numbers all day would make me want to like hit my head against something repeatedly with vigor. Great.
So he will hurt himself if he
I
has
will
a
hurt myself.
regular job.
Yeah.
Cool.
Really, and I was thinking about this the other day. Okay, so the whole 9 to 5 idea, I feel like, is probably just detrimental to human health and well-being. It implies a chronic kind of low-level stress that, like, obviously eats at you like body and soul. So really anything with set time and space constraints, I wouldn't do well with. Like I can pour myself into my stuff because it's my stuff. So like I could easily do like a 12-hour day of writing or researching or reading or copywriting or coaching or all of that. But like,
so what about a semi-truck driver? What do you think about them? Interesting characters.
I just think that's like a weird niche that has evolved in our society, and like what a strange gap when robotics eventually take that over.
What happens when self-driving semis come?
What are you gonna do
What
when
are you
a
gonna
robot comes for your job?
What's your unique selling point? What do you bring to the apocalypse?
You can't go into that.
Yeah. It's a good question.
So we did start playing interesting game Pandemic Legacy, where you have to like tear, and I realized that's not something that I'm good at, writing on things and tearing them up.
Who knew?
Which is weird because we also found that bending rules is interesting. I'm all for bending rules.
I can't break rules. I'm a rule follower to Whole30 and Pandemic and Catan are my games. I can't break the rules.
Yeah, I also fudged the bucket on Whole30, so I'm all for bending rules a bit. Why not get creative with the boundaries that we choose to follow? I think that's totally worthwhile.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Cool. So, tell us a joke.
All right, so there's this woodpecker. Two woodpeckers, and they're sitting on the branch of this tree. And the one woodpecker says to the other, what kind of tree do you think this is? I haven't tried this one in a while. And the guy's like, I don't know, let's see. And he takes a little bite and he's like, oh, I know. All right, before I tell you what I think, like, what do you think it is? Like, let's compare. And the other one says, okay, yeah. And he says, says, oh, no, it's a birch. Obviously, it's a birch. And the guy says, a birch? No, it's not a birch. It's a beech. It's a beech. And the first says, no, it's a birch. And this first guy says, no, it's a beech. And then this third woodpecker flies up and says, gentlemen, I'll settle this for you. Ah, it's neither a birch nor a beech. Rather, it's the finest bit of ash I've ever stuck my pecker in. Piece of ash. That's the punchline.
I think I laughed more when you were trying to tell it than... Okay. Good.
Messed that one up a little bit.
That was good. It was a good one.
It works.
Okay. So, what is the first question you would ask after waking up from being frozen for 100 years?
What the hell is like what I ask now? What would I ask in that case?
Yeah.
Where am I? Who are you? What? I just want to get a lay of the land, scope out the surroundings.
Yeah. Okay.
That's what I think.
A lot of ice everywhere, I'm sure. Or melted ice.
I guess. Am I fully thawed?
I guess. What if it's just half of your body?
That would be pretty messed up.
I don't know.
You just wake up and lower half down is a block of ice. It'd be cold.
That would suck.
Yeah.
Okay.
You'd probably have some like thermal regulation issues, like your heart wouldn't be working yet. That's just where my mind goes.
Sure. Cool. So, tell us something interesting about you that we can't find online, or maybe we can, that isn't about like your work or what you do, but like just something about you as a human.
So I did when I was a senior in high. Let's go even further back. Different interesting thing. So I decided to be a vegetarian when I was 6, and it lasted 7, and lasted until I was 22. And the reason I decided to be a vegetarian at the start was I saw the movie Chicken Run, like a claymation chicken, like Wallace and Gromit kind of thing. And we'll backtrack for that. Before the movie, my favorite food was chicken fingers. Like that's all I would eat at a restaurant.
Every kid.
Most kids are like mac and cheese or chicken. Like I was a chicken fingers kid. And so in this movie at one point, this chicken, like this claymation chicken gets its fingers cut off like on a chopping block. And I remember just like breakdown in the movie theater. And I was like, I'm never eating chickens again. And then just kind of extrapolated into like, I'm never eating animals again. And so it kind of became like an ethical thing. Like I was definitely an ethical vegetarian more so than a like health vegetarian. Like I also didn't eat fruit or vegetables until I was like 19 and I was in college. It was messed up. So I lived on like lean cuisine, fettuccine Alfredo things, and then like Creole rice, like this spicy tomato sauce rice. But then I went back to eating meat, and I kind of just dove in with like bison meatballs as like the first thing I had.
I like that. Not
chicken
fingers.
Not chicken fingers.
God.
At a certain point, it was just like the biological and anthropological evidence that human animals eat meat was like overwhelming. I was like, all right, let's try it. And what was crazy is like within the first week of going back and eating meat, I put like 50 some pounds on what I thought my max lifts were, like my deadlift, my squat, my bench. It was just like overnight, like bloop, that's what strong feels like. And it was interesting. So then it's always been like a back and forth of how do you be an ethical consumer of other things in the ecosystem. So, you know, more and more trying to get away from like convenient meat. Obviously I like organic and grass-fed whenever possible, but it's like, okay, how local could it be? Could I only eat it when I know where it comes from? Just how compassionately can I live as a member of the ecosystem?
Compassionate meat eaters.
Yeah. And how can you be a steward to your environment and your ecosystem? And I think one of the other big things that comes to mind is like food systems are like political systems entirely. And like I look at our food system as the source of a lot of issues of things.
Sure.
Mental health issues, physical health issues. They're one and the same thing, by the way. Social inequality, like natural resource depletion. It's crazy how much of it comes down to food. And I just think like the way we eat, what we eat, and how we eat what we eat can be very radical kind of things. So cool. I don't know if you're going to find that online anywhere if you Google Chandler the Mover. But
cool. I dig it.
In there, yeah.
Okay, so this leads into a really good question I have for you. It's a hard one.
All right.
Would you rather have to use a microwave forever or never recycle again?
Shit, I think I would...
Chandler hates microwaves.
Yeah, no, I think... That's a whole other thing. I think what I would go for in that case is I would bend the rules and I'd say I'd never recycle again, but I would reduce and reuse more. Like I would,
make it so you don't have to recycle.
Make it so I don't have to recycle. So I would probably go the route of never recycle again, but also never buy anything in a package again.
Okay.
And
cool.
Be very diligent with waste and that sort of thing. Microwaves just really freak me out.
Yeah.
Like they just haven't...
You don't have to go there.
No, I'm going to go there. In the grand scheme of things, they haven't been around long enough. Like
they radiate.
Well, so they radiate, yeah. So it's like a weird kind of like nuclear device in our house. And in the scheme of human history, they just haven't been around long enough for us to know like what the fuck the ramifications are. So like books have been around as long as like we've had,
and they don't radiate stuff necessarily.
But like, okay, so when in doubt, it's like look at what is old and still around and relatively consistent throughout history as like probably a safe fallback for what's good for us, like water, time outside, communities, food,
board games.
I mean,
they're old.
Chess is old.
Games have been around for a long time.
Games have been around forever. Games are part of like the human experience. But like microwaves, probably not on that list. Screens for 8 hours a day, probably not on that list. So it's just worth like wondering about. Probably if you give a shit about that kind of stuff.
Chandler, do you own a refrigerator?
I mean, there's one there.
So the answer is yes.
The answer is yes.
Anyway, great. So, what's the most annoying question that people ask you?
I don't know if there are any like There probably are in the moment
There
some
are.
that are intrinsically annoying, but I'm drawing a blank on what would be just like standalone annoying question. But I guess the weird, most common one is like, what do you do as like the default?
Are you like a personal trainer?
Well, not even that, but just like the kind of unexplored laziness that is built into a question like that of like, Hailey, what box can I put you in so that I know how to interact with you? What do you do? Oh, you're a marketing person. Oh, you're a yoga teacher. Oh, you're a writer. Oh, you're a this. Oh, you're a that. It's like...
Mini boxes. We're all mini boxes.
Like, we ask that in a way to pretend that we're getting to know someone, but like, if I want to get to know you, I don't really give a shit what you do unless that's what you're really into as well. We ask that as like a whoa.
There's like coffee grounds in my coffee.
You made that one.
I made the coffee.
But so we ask like, what do you do as a way to get into some like theatrical niceties of social interactions, but it's a bit of an artifice. Not no one. Very few people actually give a shit about what they do.
It's true.
So when you say like, what do you do? I'm a lawyer. Great. Do you love the law? Some people totally do, but some people are like, well, no, it pays the bills. So maybe that is the annoying question.
Okay.
Yeah.
What is something you think everyone should do once in their lives?
Take like a really good long look in the mirror and ask if you are happy with the person that you are. That, or I do think most everyone on earth could benefit from working with a therapist at some point. Just
cool.
Personal bias, yeah.
Let's see. What is something that a lot of people, a vast majority of people, are obsessed with that you don't get?
What are people obsessed with that I don't get?
Like, you don't get the point.
I mean, there are a lot of things that I don't get, but most things I don't get.
No, that people are obsessed with.
People are obsessed with. Some people are obsessed with sports, and I don't get. I mean, I get it on like an anthropological level, but like I don't get it as like an experience.
Yeah.
Like I can sit there and stare at something happening too, but like I'd rather. What I think is really interesting is the juxtaposition between like the total lack of movement involved in watching with like the high level athletic prowess involved in doing. And I just think that's a really
weird.
It's like we go to the lowest level of activity to participate in watching the highest level activity. And I think that's really interesting. So organized sports I don't really get.
Interesting.
It's like moving vicariously through someone.
Yeah, well, it's like if a team loses and like your whole day's ruined, it's kind of weird to me.
Yeah.
Like you get like literally depressed, and I'm like, it's okay.
Well, and so I mean, on one hand, I do get that as like an identity thing. Like, I mean, we identify as
I suppose
Americans, or we identify as whatever, and like, it's all a matter of what games you decide you want to play within. Like if I decide I want to identify as an American, probably gonna be pretty upset if like America is threatened or in jeopardy.
Sure.
Right? Because that involves something of me.
Our time's running out.
Our time's running out. A minute left.
Let's see. What's something you've been meaning to try but haven't gotten around to? Top of your head.
Something that I've wanted to try but haven't gotten into. I get into most of the things that I want to try. But the one thing that I look back on that I was about to do and didn't is puenting, which is bridge jumping.
What?
So you like strap a harness on and a rope, and it's not like a bungee cord. It's just you jump off in an arc and it swings you down. And I had the opportunity to do that in Baños, Ecuador, and I chickened out.
What? No.
Yeah.
Okay, last question. What's the luckiest thing that has happened to you? Me. Okay, that's done. That's the answer. It's me. He already said it. It's fine.
Golly.
Okay, cool. Thanks for joining us on
Thanks for
episode
having me.
1. Dun dun dun. Sing us a song to take us out. To learn more about 20 Minute Talks and our guest, head over to haileyheishman.com.